Welcome back to the Triple Threat Podcast. My name is William Ezel, and today we had to record. We no longer upload a day. Sorry for that, but school happened again. But we had to make an upload for the James Harden trade. First blockbuster trade of the season. Ishan, we're going to be breaking this down. Every team involved, especially the Nets, especially the Rockets. But before we do that, make sure to subscribe. It means a lot to us. But I'm not going to waste your time any further. Let's get straight into this. Ishan, what team do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the Brooklyn Nets, obviously?
Yeah, I think we should. I think the way we're going to structure this is we're going to go by team and look at all the teams that were involved or that could have been involved and look at how this plays out in the implications of the trade. But to start off, we have Brooklyn and a big three of Harden, Kyrie, and Durant. From a talent perspective, we all know how good that is. Those are arguably the three most talented offensive players in the NBA. Like, Kyrie's offensive bag is deep, and there's no denying that Durant and Harden are 1 and 2. And you could be a little interchangeable, but right now I have Harden at 1, Durant at 2.
Oh, I'd say Durant at 1, Harden at 2, but that's just because I love the Slim Reaper.
Slim Reaper is something else. But I think we need to start off with Kyrie. Will he start playing again now that James Harden is here? And will he be okay as a third option?
That's the question everyone wants to know.
Because he was second fiddle to LeBron back in Cleveland. Back in Boston, he was that number one guy, but he couldn't handle it. And he's been totally okay with supposedly being the number 2 guy, even though he's been playing like a number 1 option. But now I would like to see if he can be the third option, because KD is going to shoot. KD will shoot and score whenever he wants because he's capable of doing that. Harden is going to shoot and score and hold the ball for like 18 out of the 24 seconds. Will Kyrie Irving be okay with that? Because his role won't diminish to an off-ball player like we see with Klay Thompson, for example, but his on-ball production and his on-ball usage will definitely take a dip.
And that's where he thrives the most. That's where Kyrie is in his deepest back, is his dribble drive penetration, getting to the hoop and using that plethora of finishing moves he had, because his layup package is the best in the entire NBA. What he does inside the paint is absolutely phenomenal. And I think you just have to look about what he does as a player and how that fits with the players around him. He's got one really ball-dominant player in James Harden, and I don't see his style changing because he is not okay with being a third option. He is not. He will get his usage. He will get his points. He will shoot ridiculous threes, and that's what he's going to do. And he's going to make them at a high clip because he's James Harden. That's what he does. Then you have KD, who is a great player who can accept a lesser role on a great team. He's got the ability. He's got the experience. He knows what it takes on those championship teams. He's been in a big three before. But what I worry is that third option was Klay Thompson, the best off-ball player in the NBA. Kyrie Irving is one of the better on-ball players. He needs the ball. Harden needs the ball. And there's only one ball in the court. You're going to hear this a lot. Players like you look at Caris LeVert is a better fit within that system. You saw how well he was playing. He was playing like a top 10 shooting guard in the league. I mean, he was out of his mind. So I think you just look at the fit, and if you look at not just the fit, but the mentality, Kyrie Irving's gone. He didn't leave for the reasons he said he left. He was partying. I mean, he waves his aromas across the court before games. He claims the earth is flat. He doesn't want to speak to the media. Then he comes and speaks to the media. I mean, he is...
Okay, but he can still drop 30 on you.
No. I mean, what did he do those first couple of games he was back? He was the best point guard in the league because, I mean, Curry wasn't playing great in those first couple of games. He was on fire. He was an offensive masterpiece. I mean, what he was doing, shooting, creating, dribbling, I mean, he was incredible. But I just worry, how does he handle the usage? How does he handle he didn't want to be on LeBron's shadow. I mean, he's the third best offensive player on this team, and it's not even close. So I'll turn it back to you because that was a little bit of a ramble.
The fact that Kyrie Irving is the third best offensive player on the team really says a lot about the talent that they have. But then again, you have Harden and Durant, who are both, in my opinion, top 5 all time offensively. Throw in like MJ, Kobe, Allen Iverson. Hot take. But next up, we should probably talk about the minutes. And I think that when you're recovering from an ACL or Achilles injury, and when you've had knee troubles like Kyrie has had, and when you're severely out of shape like James Harden is, staggering minutes is not a bad idea. It gives a guy like KD, who's coming back from a horrific injury, some time to rest and recover before the playoffs. And then it gets other guys like Timothy Luwawu, Tyler Johnson, um, Nick Claxton, Jeff Green, Shamit. It gets those guys involved in the offense a little bit more. And come playoff time, when depth and healthy star players matter the most, you have players on the bench that have had experience playing in the starting lineup, and then you have a fully healthy and ready KD, fully in shape Harden, and a present Kyrie Irving.
Because that's the biggest thing, because Kyrie is an incredible player when he's playing. So, last thing I'll say, I love the 7 minutes idea because you give them each their own offense. And while there's only 48 minutes in a game, and if you were to do 2 completely separate offenses, you'd only play each player 24 minutes. And I don't think any player wants to play just 24 minutes. Obviously, you're going to have some overlap. But if you play them each 15 minutes in their own completely separate offense, and you always have one of Irving or Harden on the court at all times, I mean, you are always going to be a huge plus to the offensive end of the court.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, no matter if Katie's playing, no matter if you have other players like Landry Shamet, who is an incredible shooter. So what I would do is, would you start Katie or would you start both of them together on the court, and then halfway through the first, you go and like put Kyrie on the bench, have Harden take over for a bit? And would you have Shamet playing more often with the Kyrie offense, and then players like who would you have in a more Harden style offense? Would you have the Wawu
there? Luwawu could be,
and then Harris in the Kyrie offense?
Yeah, I think Tyler Johnson, he's an okay playmaker. He could be interesting with Harden.
Jordan, I don't know. Jordan would probably go in the Harden offense, I imagine, just because of the shooting volume, and because you want that space in the paint for Kyrie to operate in.
Yeah, he could work with Kevin Durant too.
It's gonna be a D'Antoni and Harden are back together. I think that's the funniest part about all of this.
Steve Nash is gonna have his work cut out for him.
God, imagine being a first-year coach and you have this to deal with. Kyrie just leaves. You add James Harden back with his former coach.
You have like 3 massive egos.
The Katie's fine. I mean, he tweets a lot, but like he's fine. He's calm. He's mild-mannered.
Bro, that Scarlett Johansson tweet, I really hope he deleted that.
I hope he never deletes that.
Wait, is it still on?
I don't know.
Oh no, please don't tell me it's still on.
Well, we'll move on before we get distracted any further. Could this how much assets have they put into the picks? Did they give up too much picks? Did they give up too many players?
Look, they gave up pretty much their entire bench. Or not their entire bench, but they gave up Karooks is very good, very underrated. Allen, LeVert, and Prince. So probably the 4 guys that are consistently coming off the bench. 4 first rounders. Or no, yeah, 3 of them. 3 from Brooklyn, 22, 24, and 26. And 22, 24, I think those will be later first round picks. But 26, Harden's going to be 37. Kyrie's going to be like 35. Durant's going to be 37, 38. So that pick could end up being very valuable. And then 4 unprotected first-round pick swaps in 21, 23, 25, 27. And once again, by 25 and 27, those picks could become very, very valuable and end up working in Houston's favor. So I think that, yes, they gave up a little bit. But at this point, if they don't win a chip in the next 3 years, this trade was a colossal failure. And it's going to set the scene back like a decade. Like this has really... This is just an all-in, take a giant risk trade. And it's not like the Billy King trade where it's aging superstars. It's a current top 5 to 7 player that has experience playing with some of your other guys. either through the Olympics or through OKC.
And then you look at it. This is the same type of mold of the Anthony Davis trade. I think the biggest difference in this is the quality of players given up. Levert is not on the same level as Brandon Ingram by a mile. I mean, not by a mile, but like Brandon Ingram is a top 15 player in the league. I think we both agree on that now. Maybe. All right, that's a top player. Josh Hart is a great role player, a tenacious defender, and then Lonzo is a valuable trade asset. You get 4 first-round picks, including the 4th overall. But that's a player who's 26 at the time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Or is he 25 then? But still, that is a 6 or 7 year difference in age, which is just astronomical. We're talking about NBA lifetime. That's an entire prime that you're missing out on. So when you're looking at this trade is a lot more win now than the Lakers trade was. And the Lakers already won now. So the trade will be measured in championships. If it's 1, it's a pretty small W. If it's 2, it's a big W. If it's 0, you took the biggest L of all time because you've given up 2 picks because all 3 of these players were off the books after 2023. Durant, Harden, and Irving. They're all off the books in 2023. You're giving up your 2024 and 2026 pick along with your 23, 25, and 27 picks. So you're giving up 4 picks potentially when you don't have any superstars. Combine that with the fact that you have 0 players, like 1 young player. You have maybe 1 young player in Nick Claxton who has a potential. Okay, Shamit's a good player too, but both of those players are role players at best. Maybe if they're peak in their prime, maybe they're a starting level player. But that is not the players I want. You're going to have this team is going to have nothing in 2024 if they don't re-sign these players, if they don't go for another push. And I find that unlikely given the age. It'd be 35, 34, and 31 respectively. That's still pretty decent age basketball players. But remember, LeBron James is the outlier. Players usually don't last that long in their career.
No.
Only the guys you see succeed are the guys that can shoot. And all these guys can shoot, so they always will have some type of role until maybe they want to just retire at 40. But this team will not be a championship level team by the time they have given up at least those 2026 and 2027 picks. The Rockets are going to get at least 2 top 10 picks, in my opinion. At least.
I think they'll get 2. I think they'll get 3 lottery.
3 lottery, I think 2 top 10.
Yeah.
Now you want to move on to the Rockets?
Yeah, but before that, I think depth is going to be an issue, especially come playoff time. And 3 egos clashing with Steve Nash trying to manage it. Look, there is a lot of risk in this, and I know the reward is a championship, so you're putting it all in. But there's so many avenues for failure. So as much as I like this trade for the Nets, there are a lot of repercussions, and there are a lot of risks that they're taking.
For sure.
Also, for all you real estate investors, I would definitely invest in some Brooklyn area strip clubs and Brooklyn area like Buddhist monasteries for Kyrie.
I don't even know what maybe a Church of Scientology for Kyrie, because that's the path he's heading down.
Oh my god!
Imagine Kyrie joins the Church of Scientology.
So moving on to Houston, if you look at their haul, it's pretty good. It's great. Oladipo, he's changed his game a lot since the injury. He is now a shooter, now more of an off-ball player, still a positive on defense, and still a great player. He's averaging 20, which is the most since his breakout year. So he's getting back into form. Rhodes Karooks, who has been very underrated, hasn't gotten much minutes, but has made the most out of the minutes that he's been given. Dante Exum, nice backup point guard, and then the 8 picks. So they are set for the future. And I think that they are a good team. You have John Wall, Victor Oladipo, Boogie Cousins, who has kind of found his stride now. He'll never be the player he was before, but he's still pretty solid. And then you have Christian Wood, who's been, popping off. So that's a big three of Oladipo, Wood, and Wall. That's great defensively. That's a lot of high energy. It's a lot of good floor spacing. That's fun to watch. So Houston did not just trade Harden and get nothing in return. They still have a playoff caliber team with assets to build on for the future. So they put themselves in a very good situation here. Because to be honest with you, they weren't winning with Harden. They've tried so much. They've done everything and nothing has worked. So sell them while he's high. Stockpile for the future, but still have a good team right now is the best situation that you can be in. Now, that being said, you could have had Ben Simmons. And I know Oladipo, Wall, and Wood are very good, but Ben Simmons is that franchise-changing superstar, and he has that potential. He's much younger than Oladipo. He has a much bigger future, and now now Houston's kind of in a tough spot right now because they have to get some kind of John Wall, Oladipo player if they really want to caliber player if they really want to compete. But if you get Simmons, you have Wall who's a playmaker. You have Christian Wood who can space the floor. Now you just load him up with shooters and you just wait a year or two as Simmons and Wood develop and play cohesively with each other. That's a contender right there in my eyes. I don't know about you, but I'm very high on Simmons. You're high on Simmons. We're both high on Wood. At least I'm high on Wall. I think that that's a contender. So losing on Simmons is kind of tough, but they still got a good return.
In that Simmons trade, you probably could have demanded Shamet in that trade. I think that would have probably been a decent asset. But my thing for this is two things: flexibility and fit. I look at Ben Simmons, and with Daryl Morey, you're not going to get the million picks. I don't think you're not going to get 8 picks. And I look at Philadelphia's future; it is a lot brighter than what Houston is. You're not going to be getting the infinite picks, the infinite lottery picks. Like you could potentially, not going to say you are, but there's a chance that you could be getting a lot of lottery picks from
the Nets.
The Nets. So I look at that and I go, you know what? I'd rather have the future that Brooklyn holds rather than what you hold and maybe potentially a spot up shooter and whether Curry or Green. But I don't know that they'd give up Curry or Green if they were to do a trade. So you're not going to get a shooter from them. You'd have to have a third team involved. I don't see any of the shooters available getting traded. I don't see JJ getting traded. I don't see.
I feel like by the deadline,
he could go.
A lot of those selling teams are going to be trading any shooters they have because their value is going to be at the.
George Hill could go.
George Hill could go, yeah.
But I look at that. Simmons' best 2 positions: power forward, point guard. What are the best 2 players on Houston? Point guard, power forward. What is Simmons going to play? I don't know. Would you trust him?
Would play small forward?
I would rather have Wood at power forward because that's what it does. That's what Wood is. I mean, Christian Wood is an absolute monster in the paint. His thing is rebounds and scoring in the paint. I don't want to jeopardize what he does best to fit in a player that doesn't fit with my scheme. What I'd rather do is get Victor Oladipo, who is almost $20 million cheaper, over $20 million cheaper than James Harden will be, with cap flexibility going for the future because he's on an expiring deal, which one, you can either get rid of it, get a big name superstar in free agency because now you can afford it, or 2, re-sign Oladipo because you are getting a top 5 shooting guard in the league. He is a top 5 shooting guard in the league. At best, he was the 2nd best shooting guard in the league. His numbers are still incredible. This season, he's got a Raptor of 3.6, which you don't know. That's a advanced plus minus stat. So if you're positive, you're good. He is a positive defensively and offensively. You look at his best season, that 2017-18 season. He was a 7.5.
Which is like an all-NBA type season.
Insane. 3.4 off at 4.1 defense. He was a microwave scorer, and he was a great defender. What he did that season was absolutely ridiculous. He was an outlier in the data. He was crazy good. And I know 36 points or 20 points is nothing compared to 36 points, but you're going to be getting more points from I guess, Cousins. Definitely more points from Wall, and definitely more points from Christian Wood. You got a Chris Paul, Anthony Davis level trade for someone who was wanting to leave, who was just not showing up to practice and not wanting to fit with the team. John Wall had a whole press conference calling out James Harden, saying that there's players
Boogie
playing.
did too.
I mean, the whole team didn't like him.
No, like I'm not denying this trade was great, to be honest. Like Oladipo is a very good fit for the team, and he does a lot. But I just feel like Simmons, he has more potential. You could build around him, and he is a better long-term fit. Just because I'm still skeptical about Oladipo's injury history, and I don't know, like three kind of I'm not gonna say age or two kind of aging players when you could have gotten a young guy with oozing potential. I think that's where you could have gone wrong because Wall has improved as a floor spacer too.
I
So
mean,
it's not like there's going to be some log jam in the paint.
the goal in the NBA is to get a superstar. Ben Simmons is that. But, I mean, in injury history, both of them have their issues. You look at what Ben Simmons does. Houston wants to win now. They want to continue to win. They don't want to rebuild. They don't want to have to change their ways. They want to just go plug and play. Oladipo, you come in, we'll be good. You can't do that with Ben Simmons. I don't think their coaching can withstand that. I don't think their facilities can withstand that. I just don't think that it would be a good fit for them this season. I don't think that's one of the big factors that Houston decided on when making this trade. I think that you look at this. One of the biggest issues with this team was depth. They have a couple of decent options off the bench, but
They were never a deep team.
Never a deep team. They have a couple of options on the bench. You look at them, they've got Cousins. Obviously, you have guys like House is hurt. Is House hurt?
House is out, yeah.
But anyways, you have PJ Tucker, Macklemore.
On the trade block. PJ's.
Okay, you have some players that are there.
Apparently.
There are some players that are there. Then you look at the whole incident with James Harden and Chris Clemens, right?
Oh, Jayshawn Tate.
Jayshawn Tate.
The rookie.
All of these young players, I don't care about. The Rockets have beat.
Okay, but Clemens is out for the year. That's an Achilles.
Oh no, that was where he got wheelchaired off the court. Yeah,
that was sad.
Well, anyways, they needed depth. They needed a replacement for Harden. They got that. The trade. This trade's best for them now. You can argue how it'll be for them in 3 years, but it'll definitely be the best option in 5 years' time.
Yeah, short term, this is the perfect package for them in terms of current fit and what they have going on.
And you could argue long term it is too.
Long term.
Long term.
Yeah, maybe. Are you talking about the picks?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like. Look, if it was in Philly, Embiid could have really gotten pissed off, and they could have blown it all up. And I think they don't have their cap flexibility is not that great, so they probably could have gotten some good picks out of Philly too. But I think that it would have been around the same as Brooklyn.
I think Brooklyn picks would have been worse because you look at age, and then you look at coaching, and you look at just strength of the front office and the locker room. I mean.
Well, age, think about it. Danny Green's in his 30s. Seth Curry's 20.
Those are role players.
But, okay.
They're valuable role players at that.
Young players. Like, besides Maxey. And I guess
Thibault.
Embiid's 26.
You got an all-NBA player at 26. That's what I'm saying.
An all-NBA player who plays, like, 60% of his games argues with people.
You're not going to miss the lottery with an all-NBA player is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If Embiid's there, you're not getting a lottery pick.
I wouldn't go that far.
If Embiid's there, the odds that you're getting a lottery pick is extremely low. I mean, look at the Pelicans. They had AD. Were there any good picks in those years? No.
There were for sure lottery picks.
There were lottery picks, but they were like 13.
Yeah, but a lottery pick's a lottery pick.
In the NBA draft, the only good players are top 5. I mean, obviously there's good players outside the top 10. You look at Tyler Hero, and you look at Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. I mean, there's great players outside the draft. But if you want to build for the future, there's the top three,
Okay, yeah, you're not
and then
building
there's a
around
crapshoot.
10th overall. You're not building around like Kevin Knox, for example.
No. There's the top three, and then you pray you get someone good.
Yeah. So I guess we should probably move on to Indiana.
For sure.
So I didn't hate this. I like LeVert a lot. They get a younger option. They get a cheaper option. And look, when LeVert has touches, LeVert produces. And I think that we've seen that on multiple occasions. So when healthy, Warren's obviously hurt right now. They have Brogdon, who is a good all-around point guard. He can score. He's efficient. He can shoot. He can pass. He can defend. You have LeVert and Warren, who are your microwave scorers on the wings. You have Sabonis, who's just eating up inside. And you have Turner as your defensive specialist. And now Turner is getting happier, so I don't think they're going to trade him now. That's a solid starting five. And then coming off the bench, you have Justin Holiday, who's not bad. I think you have
Aaron Holiday.
Aaron, right?
Yeah.
There's Aaron. There's McDermott.
Jeremy Lamb.
McConnell.
Goga. They never play Goga Bitadze.
Goga.
He doesn't play. He hasn't touched the court.
He's like the Poku from last year. All European guy that's not touching the court. But yeah, there's a lot there. I don't think that come playoff time they'll be able to match up with Harden, Kyrie, and KD if everything goes right, or even Tatum and Brown, who look like the best young duo in the NBA. But this team for sure could, sneak into the conference finals because they're coaching. This Nate Bjorkgren guy is so much better than McMillan. I had no idea. He's really exceeded my expectations, and this team is so much better offensively. They found a way to utilize Oladipo when he was there, and I think they'll do the same thing with LeVert.
I mean, you look at they're very similar type players, LeVert and Oladipo. I think Oladipo gives you a lot more offensively just because of his just versatility and offensive use and the way he can just carry an offense, which LeVert hasn't gotten to that level yet, but he doesn't need to. He's got Brogdon, Sabonis, and Michael Jordan. I mean, TJ Warren hasn't been Michael Jordan this season like he was during the bubble, but
well, he's been injured.
Well, yeah, but when he played? He played a couple games, right? I also like a complete idiot.
Wait, let me see. I thought he...
Yeah, he's played 4 games this season. I'm not stupid.
4 games. And he did not make a single three-pointer.
Wow. I did not know that. I did not know he was the embodiment of Kelly Oubre. Well, anyways, this team is really good. I think our biggest issue with them was coaching this season, and we were wrong. So
totally.
Pacers are a great team. They came back by 10 points in the final 2 minutes against the Pelicans. I nearly had a fit. Not happy. How do you give up 6 points in 10 seconds? I don't know. Please help me. That game was so painful. Brogdon was great. This team is really good. Brogdon is one of the better point guards in the league, and I think combined with LeVert, this team will be just as good. And for the future, Oladipo was an expiring contract, probably wasn't going to re-sign. You look at that, you get LeVert, a good option, cheaper, long-term, boom, you get a win, and a second-round pick on top. Not much, but it's something. So good for them.
The Pacers are still under the luxury tax with Domantas Sabonis, who's been popping off, Turner, who's a defensive stalwart, Warren, LeVert, and Brogdon. They have been under the luxury tax for the last 7 years since the emergence of Paul George. So this team has the flexibility to re-sign these players. They won't just let them walk. They will put up a fight and re-sign them. Or they have the ability to trade one away and pursue a bigger name. So they have a lot of flexibility here. Long term, they are set up for definitely a few conference finals runs.
For sure. This will be just like the Paul George Pacers, I think, except without the superstar. But
yeah, how
on earth do you average 4.1 blocks a game? I just want to know how you do that.
Doesn't he average 2 steals too?
I think so. He is the defensive player of the year because, 1, I don't like Rudy Gobert, and 2, he's ridiculous. He's just absolutely insane.
4.1, 1.5 steals.
I just want to point out how crazy it is that the Celtics said no to Miles Turner because they didn't get Oladipo.
Dude, Turner's defensive raptor right now is 7.2.
The only player I think that is better than that is Clint Capella and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, it's Capella and Gobert. He's higher than Embiid, Nurkic, Talon Horton Tucker, Campaign, John Collins, Adebayo.
Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, for sure. So Turner is legit. And he can space the floor too.
I mean, is there? You look at a similar type defensive player, Steven Adams. They've got similar defensive games. They're good interior presences. They're versatile. They're really well. They can really guard the space effectively. They're not just man to man. Like they can guard the whole space. Like that's what their presence is in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
But Steven Adams is very slow, and he cannot shoot for anything.
Okay, Adams can rebound.
Adams is the best offensive rebounder in the league. That is true.
Yeah, like 6.5 rebounds a game. I think that's the one thing holding Miles Turner back from Defensive Player of the Year as a big man.
Their offensive games are very different, but if he could, that's because he's a stretch five, anyways. Because if you're stretching the floor, you're not going to be getting the rebounds offensively.
Defensive rebounds too.
Defensive rebounds too. Yeah, that's true.
Like 5.1.
That should be more like 7 or 8.
Yeah, for sure.
But it could happen. He's got the ability. No one's denying that.
So let's move on to the last team involved in the trade. And I honestly think that they won this trade.
Well, they're not the winners, but they took a W.
Yeah. For what they gave up, they got back the most in return. Like getting James Harden is obviously the biggest return that you can get, but for what they gave up, they got a great return, and that's Cleveland. I don't know if their GM is like Lester Crest from GTA. So for all you GTA players, you know that Lester pulls off the craziest, biggest, most insane heists, and I think that the Cavs GM just did that today. Giving up Dante Exum and Milwaukee's 2021 first rounder, which as of right now looks to be somewhere between 23 and 30, for Jarrett Allen. And we all know how talented Jarrett Allen is, and Taurean Prince. Allen is a cheaper, higher potential, better fitting player than Drummond will ever be. And arguably, you could make a case that in a couple months, Allen will be the better overall player. Drummond's expiring this year, and I think that they should still look to trade him at the deadline. Boston could use his services. They need kind of a defensive rebounding type guy. But you have Sexland, Kevin Porter, Okoro, Allen, their 2021 draft pick, which looks to be probably somewhere in the top 7 or 8 in a very stacked draft class, plus Larry Nance, Chetty Osman, JaVale McGee, Taurean Prince, and then Thon Maker, Kevin Love, and Andre Drummond. So on paper, this team is good. They have a lot of bigs, but I think that Love and Drummond will find their way out of there by the deadline. They don't fit in with the long-term plan.
I don't know how many of you do 4-team trades in fantasy, but this is like the one team that just snuck their way in the trades. Like, oh, include me. I'm here too. You can include me. And no one notices that they just somehow got the best player. Or not the best player. They secretly improved their team dramatically by doing that. Like, yeah. Everyone was so focused on the other 3 teams. Like, you know what? The Cavs actually just like massively upgraded their team and no one notices. Like, if the Cavs proposed this to just say that just the Nets, it's like, we'll give you Exum and a twin Milwaukee's pick for Jarrett Allen, they would be walked out the door. I mean, that would be considered a highway robbery. No one's talking about this because it's the 4th team in a 4-team trade. It's just incredible what they've done.
That was incredible. And, you know, they have Allen, Nance, JaVale, Love, and Drummond, and Thon Maker. They could run a lineup of all big men. And Larry Nance, who's been quietly averaging 4.3 assists per game as a big, could run the point. I actually think that they will do that, at least for one lineup.
I hope they do.
That would be
And
so
then,
funny.
you put Drummond in the ISO and let him just create his own shot.
Please let Drummond be the primary shot creator.
If you know what we're talking about, there's a clip of Drummond going around in an ISO situation, and he just throws the ball, but instead of going towards the basket, it goes the other way. It just goes straight up at the it doesn't even go towards the basket. It's so good. It's so good. But they definitely took a win, and for a team like the Cavs, they need all the wins they can get because they need a lot to go in the right direction. Sexton was a good start. Sexton has been incredible. Garland has been a great facilitator. That's a good start. Now, fix the rest of the team. Fix your jerseys because your jerseys are awful. That's the first thing I would do because when I see your jerseys, I think of LeBron. What do you want to do? Well, let's get our own identity. This is a new team. This is Sexland. So let's go. Would you change your jerseys if you're the Cavs? Because I think that's the first thing you got to do.
Yeah, like think about it. The Hawks changed their jersey this year. They wanted to rebrand. They wanted to go in a new direction. We changed from those ugly neons to these. I love them.
Oh, God, I don't know how. I was probably the most angry person when I discovered Volt Green. Oh my God.
I love the OGs too. I still have that red Joe Johnson jersey that does not fit me at all.
Oh, that is a brilliant jersey. I have my red Al Horford jersey.
Those reds were something else.
The whites were nice too.
The whites were nice.
I mean, there was a lot of lines on them, like the Falcons jerseys, but they were good. They were infinitely better than the current jerseys, or not the current jerseys, but the Volt Green jerseys. But after a rebuild, what you want to do is you want to rebrand and have new jerseys. The Hawks, when you see those old jerseys, you think of that 61 team. You don't think of, that garbage period where the Hawks were just in the dumpster, just mediocre or just bad. You think of those awful Volt Green jerseys. Now you think of this great, not great Hawks team, but a good Hawks team with a great future, and those sick new unis. Unis can change perception. So old jerseys, you think of them as a bad organization or just LeBron James' shadow. Get new jerseys, new identity.
These retros were nice, though. I will say that.
But that's because they're retros.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't say retros, but the ones that LeBron wore from like 2003 to 10. Look them up when we end this. Like, they're tough. So moving on from jerseys, the one other team that we want to talk about that's not involved is Philly, because they were really the only other team that could have made some serious pursuit at Harden with Daryl.
Would you say Miami?
Miami, but I think Philly and Brooklyn were the top of the list.
And then you had like the Miamis and the New Orleans. I would never saw New Orleans, but people said it. I disagree, but it was out there.
Someone threw Milwaukee in there. I don't know how.
You'd have to go up like Drew Holiday and Middleton, but
have to give up Giannis. But Philly, I think that I've always been skeptical with Simmons and Embiid, and I think that one of them needs to go and thrive somewhere else because they're both uber talented players. But when you have a paint player and another paint player playing together, you know that that's just not going to work, especially in today's NBA. And you need a constant perimeter shot creator, especially for Embiid, someone that he can bounce the pick and roll off of, someone that can, pass to Embiid, someone that doesn't have to be a great defender because Embiid can pick up the load, or even Simmons can. And consistent perimeter shot creator, who's the best at that in the NBA? James Harden. He can pass, he can shoot, he can make plays. And I'm not going to say that Embiid would be some kind of Clint Capella. His role would be a little bit diminished. But, yeah, he'd be like a Clint Capella on anabolic steroids.
I mean, that team was incredible. I mean, you don't have a Chris Paul, obviously. So you're not going to be as good as that Rockets team, I'd say, because two good players is not as good as three good players. Two great players isn't as good as three good players, or one great player and two good players. But anyways, if I'm Philadelphia, who would I rather trade for? Bradley Beal or James Harden? I think the choice is pretty obvious. I'd rather have Beal. Beal is not as migrative of a scorer, but he is a 30-point-a-game scorer. He is incredible. He is
Would you be
current.
trading Simmons in that? In a Brad Beal trade?
I'd imagine so. If you were Philadelphia, that's the only way you're going to get Beal. Whether who you value higher, that's the question. Whoever throws in a first round pick, maybe it's the Wizards, but
Is it worth the return? Is Bradley Beal a sufficient return for Ben Simmons? Because he's like 27, 28. He has a big contract, and he is a defensive liability too. So, as elite as Bradley Beal is, and as good as he is on offense, and the fact that he can take over a game offensively, Harden is just better at that. And I can justify trading away Simmons for Harden. I don't know if I can justify trading away Simmons for Beal.
well, here's my
That's
rationale.
where they got stuck.
Beal is not the worst. He's an average defender. I think that his numbers are kind of weighted down because the whole team sucks at defending. Like Beal said, they can't defend a parked car. But he is statistically the second best player offensively behind Jokic. Harden's obviously better. I'm not going to question that. But looking at contract situation, I think that would be a better fit for them. Just looking at it purely based on finance, because Harden is on a 2-year player option, $41 to $47 million contract. Like, that is a lot of money. So that's for a 31-year-old too. So what I want, if I'm Washington, Bradley Beal is only on 28 this year. It is $12 million cheaper for Bradley Beal, and he is 6 years younger, or 4 or 5 years younger.
4 or 5, yeah.
I would rather have someone who fits, is not a cancer in the locker room, and just is not as good, but like he is the B-Tech James Harden.
Yeah, he is still a very good offensive player.
I would rather have someone that fits, that isn't a cancer, younger and cheap.
Yeah, I would just need like Hachimura or Avdia. I would need something else in return.
Sure, give me that trade any day of the week. I will take that.
I would honestly need a pick and Thomas Bryant or Hachimura and Avdia because Simmons is so valuable. But Simmons and Westbrook on the same team would just be a mess.
I would love to see that.
That would.
Oh my
I feel
God.
both of them, one would have the ball in their hand, the other one would be on the opposite side without the ball. They'd both be crashing together at the ring, and they just start fighting for the ball at the rim.
You wouldn't even need to defend them.
Yeah, they would just be scrapping it out.
Oh my goodness. But anyways, my point is that I would just rather have Beal because he's a cheaper alternative, cheaper, younger, and less trade value wise.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to give up as many assets.
So I just think he fits better. So I think the team performance would probably be equitable with the two of them. And as you said, Simmons and Embiid, they can coexist, but they can't thrive together. So I think Beal is just a better alternative. Whether that's feasible or not remains to be seen. But it's significantly cheaper. And I'm just saying that if I were to pick one of them to put on my team or to trade for, I'd rather trade for Beal.
I'd rather trade for Beal. I just need more of a return than just Beal.
Yeah, I get that. And you can demand for more because Beal can do the same thing as Harden didn't say, I want to leave because, Beal is clearly not happy there. He can diminish his trade value. He can say, you know what, take Hachimura with me. I don't know if they trade Hachimura. Who would they value less, Hachimura or Avdia?
I feel like they're both kind of similar players. Now just thinking about it. I think they'd value Hachimura a tad less.
I think so too. Just because of his defensive numbers.
Because Avdia has more potential for sure.
I love Hachimura. I think he was my top 4 player in the draft, or top 5 player coming on the draft. I'm a big Hachimura fan, so
Hero.
Give me Beal and Hachimura. Well, coming out, obviously, I think Hero's better now, but coming out, I was a big Hachimura fan. But
you were. Oh, yeah, we're on Brandon Clark too.
Anyways, that's just my point. If there's one more team, you would say, what was the team that you wanted Harden to go to ignore feasibility, ignore possibility. What team would you want to see Harden go to? Mine's the Warriors, but I'll let you answer first.
I honestly think that you'd obviously have to like swap Booker, but Phoenix with Chris Paul could be interesting.
No. They could not go back together. No.
Okay, I'm just completely getting rid of any personal issues between them. But Bridges, Paul, Ayton, and Saric, Cam Johnson, Cam Payne. It's like a really, really good lineup for James Harden. Plus Monty Williams will be able to unlock Harden. I think his scoring numbers will dip a little bit, but his efficiency will go up, and I think he'll be at the line a little bit more.
Mine's the Warriors because Curry is better off ball. James Harden is one of the best shooters in the league. He is one of the best individual creators in the league for his own shot, and he's a good passer himself. He's a good creator. You put him in that system, you give up Wiseman, Wiggins in a first. Is that enough? Maybe. Who knows? But anyways, that would be just an incredible duo to watch for a couple of years. It would not last long term because obviously both of them are over 30 and they are both guards. So wonder about long term, but for 2-3 years, that would be a championship worthy team and the best backcourt, the best shooting trio. Just imagine Beal, Harden, Clay, and Curry next season would be.
Bro, that would like put Flight into cardiac arrest.
Dude, that would be some inspirational stuff right there. But that is time for us to end today. We've had a long conversation about James Harden. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the trades because there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot. Remember, subscribe means a lot. Anything else you want to say before we end, Ishan?
Definitely subscribe. We'll post something on the website about the Harden trade. And I know that we're not going to be posting daily anymore now that school has hit us. But I think weekly could be something to look out for. We'll be
or
talking
twice
about,
weekly. We'll try that.
Yeah, definitely on the weekends for sure. So we have some NFL content coming up now that the playoffs are here.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk about college football, a Justin Fields comment that was made. And then now, it's draft season's almost coming up.
That is my favorite time of the year. Everything's dead. School is winding down. Boom. Film, stats, and films. That is the best part where you can go, I think Justin Herbert is trash. All right, I'm an idiot. I think Justin Jefferson's absolutely incredible. I'm a genius. No one knows the draft is a crapshoot, but you can always latch on to one take and feel happy about that. I can ignore my Justin Herbert take and just move with my Justin Jefferson and my Joe Burrow and just chill, sit back, and be happy. So that is my favorite time of the year, the draft. NBA draft is a bit strange this season because, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know when they're going to have it.
So I'm loving the draft season. But that'll do it for Triple Threat Podcast. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And until then, we'll see you next time.